Thank you, Kathy B, for bringing us in with a song and such a peaceful and beautiful it's the Kathy B theme song, I think, right? It's another day. We woke up, we're here,
Yes.
we're breathing, and
Yes.
morning has broken.
Yes.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Kathy B. Hello to everybody in here. Welcome to the Daily Antidote of Song. I want to say hello to all the folks on Facebook Live, and thank you for joining us today. And to everybody in this room, shout out to Aaron Geyer, who's running the tech. Thank you, of course, to Kathy B, who jumped in today to make this another great day. Hello to Aloysius in his car, and be careful not to look at your screen, please. And hello to Sheila in Florida, and Jenny in Victoria, Deborah in Kentucky, Becky in Vancouver, Sandy in the Yukon, Betsy from Washington Rebels, hello. Hello, Karen in Utah, and Arlene in California, Sue in California, Anna in Maine, hello. Hello, Sarah in Texas, and Janet in Georgia, and Dan in Virginia, and Doug in Vermont, hello. Kathy, hello. Kate in Charlottesville, hello. Nice to see you. And Annette in California, hello. Hello, Anna. Nice to have you today. And Kathleen in Albuquerque, Rosalie in Michigan. Hello, Sue, Sean, and hello to Renata in Wisconsin. Hello to Deli in Maryland, and David in upstate New York. Karen in Arizona, hello. Bonnie in Idaho, hello. Gary and Christy, hello. Dion in Mass, Kevin, hello in New Hampshire, from me in New Hampshire. Hello, Fred in Maine, and Julie. Fred is back again from yesterday. We're glad you're back again. Hello, Julie, and nice to see you today. And Jim in New York. Hello, Barb in Kentucky. Sid in Victoria. Valerie also in Kentucky. Caroline in DC. Lisa in Indiana. Hello, Lisa in Indiana is explaining to me that it is also USA, in case I did not know that. Thank you to Lisa in Indiana, USA. And thank you to Brian. Nice to see you today. Hello, Luda. Good to see you. We miss Mark. Hello to Anne in Maryland, Tom in Victoria. Hello to Thomasina. Glad to see you today. Thanks for being here. And Thomasina's sort of background guy. Hello. Hello to Max in New Hampshire, Fred in Maryland, Susan in Seattle, Mabel and Bob in Mass. Hello, Sean. Nice to have you today. Steve in Baltimore. Okay, I need to take a breath. So everyone has to take a breath now. Ready? And now we're back in the zone that was Kathy's song. And now I'll bust in and do my thing again. Hello to Storm in Massachusetts, Harriet in Chicago, Nancy in Vermont. Hello to Greg in Maryland, DC, sorry. Hello to Ross in Maryland or DC, who knows? Hello, Jean, nice to see you. And to folks off video, hello to Fran and Dale, Lois, Hope, Amos, Joni, Barbara, Margaret, Storm. Oh, wait, I saw Storm already on video. Ruth, Gwen, Sarah, Isabel, Lynn, and some other folks coming in still. I'm really glad you're all here today. Welcome to another beautiful day. Welcome to another beautiful day in the Daily Antidote of Song as we approach our 365th day of singing together.
Wow.
Pretty wild, right? Yeah, so which will be April 5th, our 365th day will be one kind of party. And April 6th, first day of year 2, will be another kind of party. So we're looking forward to singing a lot with you guys, not only in the next couple months, but in the months and months that follow. Welcome. Hello. Here are some quick reminders. The lyrics will be in the chat. My email address is in the chat if you want to get on our Daily Antidote email list. We have a Facebook group, Daily Antidote of Song, which you can find on Facebook and join. And we post lots of cool things there, including that folks in the community can talk to each other there. And I am delighted today to have Kathy B, one of the best friends of the Daily Antidote of Song, and super willing this morning to jump in when we learned that our artist was stuck in between 2 places of travel. It's becoming a bit of a theme here. So I'm going to tell the artists no more traveling because the idea that someone is somewhere in the air between here and there is, definitely distinctly not helpful for singing together. Kathy B, you are amazing. And I have to say, when I asked if you could be here today, you came up with like the most ridiculously perfect selection of songs, which I would like you to introduce, and please introduce yourself in whatever way you want folks to know about you.
Thank you, Joe. Hey, everybody. It's a marvelous day. I'm just happy to see you all. I just love y'all. Love my girl, Joe. And Aaron, welcome. I'm saying welcome, but thank you for what you do. I am delighted to be here as always. And what Joe was saying, well, you know, this is Women's History Month. Is my sound okay, Aaron? Is it okay? Okay. Joe, all right. Well, it's Women's History Month, and it reminded me of this wonderful project that I just completed last fall with three friends of mine, Becky Graber, Jane Loy, and Peggy Hortzman. And what we did is put together, through song and story, talked about the women's suffrage movement, because last year was the 100th anniversary of that 19th Amendment, when women were given the right to vote. And so it was so wonderful. We took months and months pulling it all together. And so it's online now, and it's free and open, and you should all go watch it if you haven't. But in the meantime, I was thinking of one of the songs that we sung during that presentation, and it'd be interesting and fun to do it today. And it is the Battle Hymn of the Women. Now, what happened is women folk took the women, both earlier abolitionists. Actually, let me back up. Julia Ward Howe wrote the "My Eyes Have Seen the Glory," the glory, glory, hallelujah, glory, glory, hallelujah, glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Now, I'm hoping everybody knows that. She wrote that in 1861. And that's because she heard some troops singing it, particularly black troops, who were singing about John Brown's body is smoldering in the grave. And John Brown was a hero at that time. And before that, it was a camp meeting song. And since that time, that song has been a theme marching song for so many issues. The labor movement used it for this, and Pete Seeger made new words. Well, the women did as well. The women who was fighting for the right to vote. And so I said, let me look online. I found 4 different versions of songs that use this tune that women marched by. So I said, well, let me do a little sampling. So I pulled a verse and chorus from 3 different versions. 2 that were back in 1909, closer to when the women were still fighting for the right to vote. And then one in 1970, when a more recent woman, Meredith Tax, put it together. And you'll see some interesting differences between them. So we'll just do a sample of all 3 of them. So if you look in your chat, we'll start with the first one, and it came out of a songbook in 1909, Our Glorious Victory. And then we'll do Dare You Do It. And then the Battle Hymn of the Women. You ready? Our eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the day, when women folk in Washington won the equal way. When standing with their brothers both, they have an equal say. The cause is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. The cause is marching on. Now, this one says, Dare You Do It. Here we go. There's a wave of indignation rolling round and round the land, and its meaning is so mighty and its mission is so grand that none but knaves and cowards did deny its destiny. As we go marching on, men and brothers, dare you do it. Men and brothers, dare you do it. Men and brothers, dare you do it. As we go marching on. I mean, that's just bringing it out there, asking them. Here we go to the next one, which was in 1970. My eyes have seen the glory of the flame of women's rage, kept smoldering for centuries, now burning in this age. We no longer will be prisoners in that same old gilded cage. That's why we're marching on. Move on over, oh, we'll move on over you. Move on over, oh, we'll move on over you. Move on over, and we'll move on over you. For women the time has come.
Woo! Kathy B, bringing down the house. I love it. I love it. And I love it. And I have to say, for the men in this room, you are most certainly overpowered by the number of women in this room. And we love you dearly. But
Love you.
where we get to talk about women, like, you know, sort of in a celebratory way is a good month, right? And, you know, there's a lot of cliches and a lot of jokes about the power of women and how women are the better half of men and all of this other stuff. But in truth, women are under-celebrated in our history, right? And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about the moments in history where they had previously been dominated by men and women found a foothold or found a way to have a voice or whatever it is. And Kathy B, that was the perfect segment of songs because it also brought it through time. And it is like we are seeing with racial justice, it is not a thing that goes away just because we've fixed it on paper, right? Like, it remains unfixed in all these other ways, and sometimes even still on paper. In the case of racial justice, there's a lot still on paper that isn't helping, right? And in the case of women's rights, you change hearts and minds in order to change the way people decide to treat women, right? It doesn't matter if you just tell them, now women are equal, so you must be, right? It's a real process. It's an evolution. And we still see it happening today in the media images of women and in some of the ways in which women, when they are in power, in office, let's say, are treated or called, you know, names that are specifically female or whatever the things are that just don't help. It adds to the ugliness or to the lack of progress. And so that was a tremendous choice. It gives us a lot of time to talk about history. And if you have more things about history you'd like to say, I'd love to hear it. And I would also love to say, one of the things we've been doing in the room is talking specifically about female musical influences, whether that's from history or whether that's people who are currently still living and singing. And we'd love to hear yours.
Oh, wow. That's a whole lot, Joe. I should have taken notes. All these wonderful things you talked about. Absolutely. I want to say first that always in the women's movement for the right to vote, there were always men who were supportive and who were side by side, step by step, always have been. And so while and there were certainly those who opposed it, and there were some women as well. But it really, it was a call to say we really need to be able to have the same rights. Because remember, I've given you a historical setting for the women's right to vote. At the time before the Civil War, women could not own property. They could not have any of the, you know, those kinds of just basic things that we think about now. It was all through the men folks. So if the man died, sometimes they just had no choices whatsoever. So they were really striving to have the equal footing. And so these musics, like all music, help to you know, focus folks and get them marching to make a change. And in fact, there were times when women, I think 1913, they marched in Washington, D.C., hundreds, I don't know if it was thousands of them, wanted to say, we just want to be able to vote and to have our voices heard. And sometimes they were put in jail because, you know, actually before the Civil War, women were not supposed to speak in public. They were not allowed to speak in public. And Lord help me if it was me if we couldn't say anything. No, but you can't, you see what I'm saying? So that's the context that these things came out of. And so then we have folks, women put in jail because they just outrageous. And sometimes they were being force fed in jail because they wouldn't eat. And you have these pictures of this long pole was stuck in the woman's mouth to make her eat because she wouldn't do it in jail. Okay. And then 1920 happens, and finally, woo, it was rough too, y'all. The whole story is phenomenal, which I didn't know a lot about. And that's the other thing, women's history, is to help us know some of our stories and some of these phenomenal people. And particularly the one that I was talking to you about that I worked in, one charge that I had was to make sure African Americans, women's voices were included. Because oftentimes when we think of those, we don't hear and don't see the contributions of Black women. So there were African American, from Sojourner Truth all the way Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, all the way through Ida Wells. I mean, who've just been phenomenal and fought, and Fannie Lou Hamer later on in the next century, that continued to fight today. And black women didn't even get the opportunity to really vote until 45 years later after this 1920 thing, because even though on paper, like you said, Joe, it was written that women would be able to vote, and on paper, black men were supposed to have been able to get to vote in 1870. The reality was that in the South, that black people were prevented either by terrorism or circumvention, or they were not allowed to go to the place, so they were asked to count the number of jelly beans in a jar, and all these outrageous things to keep them from poll taxes. And so it took the Voting Rights Act in 1965 so that everybody was free. But that's just and it's so. But we keep working because it's not over yet. That some of you have already said.
Yep.
I think we're still working for equity, so that the salaries for men and women, same jobs are like they should be, equal.
Yep.
You're not. And accessing certain jobs affiliated with women is supposed to, have been devalued in terms of the money. All those things. So this song is as relevant today as it was then. So we continue to fight and honor those who came in the past. So Julia Ward Howard was the one. Howard was the one who wrote this one. They heard what were they? The Union soldiers and the black soldiers talking about John Brown's body is a moldering in the grave, and they talked about hanging the. This was Union soldiers, so they were talking about hanging up by the ropes one of the Confederate people. So they asked Julian, some of the I forgot who it was, said, "Can you just write a song that's a little bit more calmer, but talks about moving on, fighting on?" So I thought it was fascinating. You can tell so much through the stories.
Yeah, I think it's totally amazing, Kathy. And one of the things that's so cool about the last lyrics is that you can see the fact that this was not a way to create more divide. So the move on over or we'll move on over you, right? Does not say you are not included in this. It says, not unlike the racial justice discussions, if you can get there, there's plenty of room for you, right? It's call them out, but call them back in. It's see where you're maybe missing some of the pieces, because here's this place where we would like you to be standing to join us in this, momentum, in this new way of being that is more inclusive, or that is more equal, or provides freedom for more people, or whatever the things are. So I love all of that. Thank you so, so much for bringing all of that here.
Jumping on the boat, baby. The boat's getting ready to sail. Come on, be with us, or we're leaving you behind.
That's exactly right. And I love also that you've put the voting link, or thank you, Aaron, for putting the link to your program in the chat, because I have not seen it yet and I can't wait to. And I hope lots of folks will also join in seeing that. And I can see also from the chat that some folks have already seen it. So that's awesome.
Fantastic. Now you said something about favorite singers.
So women influences, musical influences in your own being.
Oh my gosh.
That can be now or from history. So for example, somebody yesterday said Melanie Demore. Actually, I think like 2 of the last days in a row, people said Melanie Demore, right? She's just this fabulous, amazing being. And she stands for so much in terms of women's rights and women's strength. And so anyone that you can think of, I'll actually keep talking for a minute till you nod a lot so that I know you've thought of somebody.
The problem is it's too many people. It's like asking me my favorite song, and it's just like When You Catch Me. What at the particular time or particular hour, it will change to my favorite song. Oh my gosh. I have women out of my tradition that I grew up with listening to in my church. If you've seen that PBS series, The Black Church, that Henry Louis Gates just put out, it is really great, Joel, in 2 sections, 2-hour episodes, and it really gives a wonderful lens to the way that I grew up in my perspective of the world. So there were women who would sing. They might sing all night long in some of those prayer bands. One lady's name was Sister Beckham, and she would just be fiery, and she would start, drive, oh Satan, driving away, yeah. And then she would get louder, and then maybe an hour later, she's still doing some other verses on it, and she still is full of fire and vic. I can see her now rocking and singing. An elder. Then there are people like Sister Jenny Coleman who would sing in an operatic type of voice at my church. All of it the same church. All of it same. We're doing everything. And so those are individual people. There are people like Undine Moore, who was a black woman composer. She was so super bad. She wrote her own theory book, music theory book, because of the students in need. She just wrote one herself. Yes, she had it like that. And as a theorist, black woman that's my PhD in theory. I'm like this. And so she wrote a lot of songs for choirs, for arranged spirituals and art songs. And so she's somebody I hold in high esteem. There are people like Julia Perry, who was born here in Lexington, Kentucky. And she was a symphonic composer around the turn of the century. And she was diagnosed with something like lupus or something, that her whole side was paralyzed, yet she still kept composing. She could barely write with the non-dominant hand, but she still kept composing until she died. I mean, just the fire that she kept in all of her music that we have and what she did. So there's so many. That's just the few that pop. And that's not even getting into the world like Nina Simone, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or gospel people like Yolanda Adams. Oh my God. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And so I think that's actually one of the great things is, like, on any given day, we have this entire like range of women to be inspiring to us depending on our mood or a particular problem. And that's in music and out of music, right? Like, there's all kinds of places we can look for strength and for mentoring. And can you just chat for a quick second about your own sort of mama and grandma influences musically? I think I remember that they both sang. Is that right?
Yes, they did. And what I want to say is, oh yes, some people said in the chat. Before I do that, Joe, somebody mentioned Miriam Makeba, duh. Odetta, duh. Bernice Reagan, duh. Bernice, Dr. Reagan is someone who I've met and from being in Washington D.C. and I would walk over to hear Sweet Honey in the Rock and when they would perform at Howard University, which is walking distance from my home in DC, and then I got to work with her at the Smithsonian. So I'm just all of them like, oh my God. But yes, my dad was a Baptist preacher. So if you know anything about Black Baptist preachers, they sing. They sing. I mean, it's part of what you do, as you're singing in music. And growing up in our house, we played piano. One of the music director or the organist had come down from New York, a black woman. She started a studio next door to our church. So she started teaching music lessons. So as I was growing up, I was playing classical piano. I was writing the scales and stuff on weekends. So I knew all of this stuff growing up. At the same time, I was learning by ear by the other musicians in my church. So I thought everybody did all of this at the same time. And my mother would sing. I would be playing this song. Mommy, look at this song. She'd be rocking with my younger sister on her knees, and they would be singing along with me. And then my grandmother would also be a song leader at her church. My daddy, sang. We just all just did it.
That's great.
Yes, I married a man whose father. Let me see. Mother was a violinist, I think. And his uncle, and he sang all the time. So just it's all over. So I'm probably missing some good folks.
No, I mean, like, we could be here all day, right? And just keep listing people, and we could have everybody in the chat keep listing people, and we'd still never get all our people, right? So, Kathy, I don't know if you already knew that Bernice Johnson Reagan actually joined us in here on Issei's birthday in this room, and it was ridiculously. It was so spectacular. And I have to say, for anybody in this room who has not seen it yet, the video is available, the February 28th video on Facebook Live. It's up to something like 1,500 views. It's moving and shaking because it's amazing. The people who showed up in that room that day, we were all amazed and or equally surprised at the way that it all came out. And it was beautiful. And I will say that Issei has been so happy about it all. And she's so thankful for this community and for everything that happened that day.
I thank you, Joe. I thank you, Joe, and all the members who have helped make it possible for something like this to take place that we could all witness. It is just a point in time in history. It will never happen like this again. It's just not going to. and so to be able to honor these women and all of us come together in this community. Oh my gosh. I was doing another workshop, so I wasn't able to be there, but I heard all about it and I saw snippets. Fantastic.
So actually, Arne Batson was also behind the scenes on that particular day.
Arne.
And
oh, yes, Arne.
She has an amazing video that she produced in honor of Issei's birthday and is out there on YouTube. And Aaron, I don't know if you can find it and put that in the chat. It was really beautiful. And it ends with Issei asking a question and then sort of like kind of bending over and falling over in laughter as she's like cracking herself up. It's just the most beautiful. It's exactly the Issei we sing with in this room. It's completely lovely. So I highly recommend that you check that out too, along with Kathy's amazing program.
Warms my heart. Warms, as all of you do, as I see your beautiful faces today. And I'm just like, I am going to go watch it. Oh my God. What they said, what am I watching? Okay, Deborah told me to go watch it, Kathy B. That's Smith. Yes, oh, absolutely. Ella, oh my God. These are
But Kathy, actually, can you just for the sake of the like uplift of this room, can you give us one of your whoop whoops and then we're gonna watch everybody's face, because everybody always gets this big smile when you do your like whoop whoop. How do you do that thing? Whoop whoop. What do you do?
Oh, whoop! Do I do like that? I don't know what I do.
All of it, any of it. It's all so good. Your smile and your energy are so good for the mental health of everybody in this room.
A new song. See, a new song. I don't know. I just made that up.
That was awesome. All right. So I think what everybody would love is if we just sang it through again, if you're willing. Let's go through all those three verses.
Okay, let's do it again, y'all. Let's go from 1909 to 1970 to today, lifting up our beautiful women. Do we have to put the words in again, Aaron? I think okay. Our eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the day, when the women folk in Washington won the equal way, when standing with their brothers both they have an equal say. The cause is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. The cause is marching on. Let's go to Dare You Do It. There's a wave of indignation rolling round and round the land, and its meaning is so mighty and its mission is so grand that none but knaves and cowards dare deny its just demand. As we go marching on, men and brothers, dare you do it? Men and brothers, dare you do it? Men and brothers, dare you do it? As we go marching on. I have to change the key on this one. The battle hymn of the women. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the flame of women's rage. Kept smoldering for centuries, now burning in this age. We no longer will be prisoners with that same old gilded cage. That's why we're marching on. Move on over, oh, we'll move on over you. Move on over, oh, we'll move on over you. Move on over, oh, we'll move on over you. For women's time has come. For all the causes marching on.
Woo! Kathy B is in the house, and that's why we're all smiling and jumping up and down. Let's give it up for all the men in the room. Let's give it up for all the women in the room. And let's give it up for Kathy B. There, you did it. You did it. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Oh yeah, that one. I didn't.
Kathy B, you make me laugh, man. I really love it. Thank you, Kathy B, so much. You can just laugh us out of the room. Forget about
Thank you,
playing
Joe.
piano.
Huh?
I said, just laugh us out of the room. Don't worry about playing piano.
I will. Sending
Thank you.
lots of love to everybody. I hope your Friday is fantastic. And if it is already, I hope it gets better. Giving you all hugs and just lots of joy. Joy. Cause we'll move on over you with this joy, baby. We on it. We on the track.
We are on the track, and we are on the track to, bring all this power into your weekend, gang. And as always, figure out your places where you can apply it to actually make a difference in somebody's life this weekend. So thank you so much, Kathy B. Thank you again to Aaron for running that tech. And I want to say goodbye to everybody in the room. Sheila, thank you. Deborah, thank you. Becky, thank you. Betsy, thank you. Arlene, thank you. Anna, thank you. Sarah, thank you. Janet, thank you. And Dan, thank you. Kathy, thank you. Kate in Charlottesville and Annette, thank you. Kathleen, thank you. And Sue and Deli, thank you. David, Sue, I see you fixed your name. That's charming. Oh, hello, and thank you to Facebook Live. And thank you for being here today. And please join us tomorrow. Let me see who is tomorrow. Somebody
Before you say that, Joe, I want to make sure we're saying yes. Somebody said remind to all genders and non-binaries, everyone in the room.
Thank you.
You are loved and welcome and honored, and yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. I love it. Thank you for calling that out. I just left a huge gap in who I was celebrating. So
I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly right. You called it, and I'm so glad. And whoever in the room called it, thank you. Thank you to all genders and everyone who comes in this room to us and everyone out there on Facebook Live. Kathy, I'm really glad you spoke up because that's part of inclusion. And it's awesome if people can call us out when we skip things and point it out. So I'm super, super grateful. Thank you again to everybody on Facebook Live. Lots of love to you all, and can't wait to sing with you tomorrow.